Welcome back. Breaking news this morning. CENTCOM is confirming that several U.S. military aircraft crashed in Kuwait. All crew members surviving, thankfully. Iran, meanwhile, launching retaliatory strikes across the region after the U.S. and Israel's joint mission eliminated the supreme leader, the Ayatollah in Iran, as well as 40 of Iran's top military leaders. Fox News chief foreign correspondent Trey Yingst has been in the middle of Tel Aviv watching enemy fire. Good morning, Trey. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Maria, good morning. We continue to see the Iranians try to target major population centers in Israel with ballistic missiles. And we can confirm to you that earlier this hour, one of those missiles slipped past air defense systems, slamming into the southern city of Beersheba. At least 10 people were injured there, according to first responders. Also, we're tracking developments out of northern Israel, where overnight the Iranian militant group, a proxy of the Iranian regime, Hezbollah, got directly involved in the fight, launching rockets over the border toward the northern city of Haifa. The Israelis are responding with strikes against the Lebanese capital of Beirut, and we are getting a new statement from a top spokesman in the Israeli army. Take a listen.
Overnight, the IDF carried out retaliatory strikes against several Hezbollah targets in Lebanon, including command and control centers, launch sites, and senior terrorists. We were ready for this. As part of the preparations for our operation in Iran, the IDF prepared for an attack from Hezbollah, allowing us to carry out a swift response. As I am speaking right now, our aircraft are striking targets in Iran, including Tehran, such as underground bunkers of the terror regime. We are operating to eliminate any threats to our civilians, and will continue doing so. Hezbollah is entering a fight it cannot win.
Israel's defense minister Israel Katz says Naim Qassem, the new leader of Hezbollah who replaced Hassan Nasrallah, is considered a legitimate target. The Israelis have issued evacuation orders for more than 50 villages inside Lebanon that they plan to strike, and we know they are targeting the Dakhya neighborhood of southern Beirut. One resident there describes what he heard and saw.
At first, there were 3 explosions. They were a bit far. We went up to the roof and saw that the explosions were behind us. We could only see the smoke. After about 10 minutes, there was another strike right behind us. We all fled, and after another 10 minutes was the last strike. It was 3 consecutive strikes. We came here, and thank God we are okay now.
And today, the IDF is publishing new video of their airstrikes against the Iranian regime, going after ballistic missile launching positions. They're trying to do what they can to quell the fire toward major cities here. But the Israelis say Iran is starting to space out their launches in an effort to overwhelm the missile defense systems with dozens of missiles at a single time. Maria?
All right, Trey, thanks very much. The world is watching you, Trey. Please stay safe. Trey Yingst is in Tel Aviv. Joining me now to look at the other side of the world in China is the Gatestone Institute senior fellow, Gordon Chang. Gordon, thank you so much for being here. The Strait of Hormuz has not been officially and legally closed. However, transit through this choke point is nearly halted right now amidst this escalation between Iran and the United States. Gordon, what is the impact on China, which, of course, is relying on all of that oil through that strait? 20% of global oil transported through the strait every day.
Much of that oil, Maria, actually goes to China. China gets somewhere between, let's say, 15 and 23% of its seaborne oil from Iran, and that oil transits the Strait of Hormuz. And as you point out, there's almost no traffic going through that now, as ships are basically warehousing themselves both north and south of the strait. So China is directly affected. And the United States, by the way, is not as affected as much because we are the world's new Saudi Arabia. We pump more oil than any other country in history for the last 7 or so years. We're also the world's leading producer of natural gas. So we can weather this. But China and, unfortunately, our friends Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan are deeply affected.
Great point on that. I mean, look, major tanker owners and traders have suspended shipments through this important waterway. They've anchored instead of entering the strait due to the safety concerns. You've got oil prices spiking. How long can China take this?
Well, China has diversified supplies, so it gets a lot from Russia. But remember, it's also lost its Venezuelan oil, and Venezuelan and Iranian oil goes to China at heavily discounted rates. So, for instance, the teapot refiners, the independents, they rely on this sanctioned oil that comes in at really low rates. And they're about 25% of China's refining capacity. So that is significant. And ultimately, you have a Chinese economy which is fragile anyway. It is export dependent, which means it really relies on those factories. Those factories rely on cheap energy. This will go through the system. And I suspect you will see real problems in about 2 months in China if this situation continues at the Strait of Hormuz.
Well, I mean, obviously, the meeting with President Trump and Xi Jinping is completely reshaped as a result of this. I spoke with General David Petraeus, who, of course, led the surge into Iraq so many years ago. And here's what he said when I asked him about China. Watch.
In a difficult position. In a way, they have a kinship with Iran, but they're also dependent on the oil that comes out of the strait. So I think they have to be very careful here. They have tried to achieve a balanced relationship with those on the west side of the Gulf and with Iran on the east side of the Gulf. I think they're really just going to stay on the sidelines. And then when it comes to Russia, they don't have anything to spare for Iran. In fact, their S-300, the supposedly sophisticated air and ballistic missile defense system they had before the 12-day war, the Israelis took down with the F-35s. That we had provided to them. So I think that's where you are with, again, Iran's supporters and where you are also with the potential impact, again, on global energy markets, noting that I don't think this will be enduring. Even if it's mined, they can generally, that can be cleared within a few weeks. It depends on the assets available.
Meanwhile, Gordon, the House China Select Committee said that Beijing is expanding its space footprint across Latin America with at least 11 new facilities. Lawmakers are warning the sites have dual-use military applications, potentially boosting Beijing's surveillance in the Western Hemisphere. So, I mean, we knew that the surveillance is deep and wide. Obviously, they could go even wider with their presence in space. Gordon, give us your sense of how President Trump's meeting with Xi Jinping has been reshaped as a result of the strikes on Iran.
As an initial matter, Maria, the poly market is betting that there very well may not be a meeting because the chances of a meeting are going down. Wow. And I think that if, for instance, you have American service members killed by Chinese-made weapons, then President Trump, for many reasons, both strategic and moral, should not go to China. We know that the Chinese radars failed. We took them out as they powered up. But we also know that China supplied those supersonic and maybe hypersonic missiles that are meant to take out ships. So there's a number of things that could happen in the next weeks that could very well derail that meeting in Beijing.
Wow, that is interesting that they are betting on it on Polymarket. Gordon, I'll check that for sure. Good to see you this morning. We'll continue the conversation with regard to our #1 adversary for sure. Gordon, good to see you. Thank you. Gordon Chang.
Stay with us.
We'll be right back.